you're feeling more comfortable or optimistic than when you went in this morning? Can you tell us that?
I can say my view of things is that it's a healthy conversation in our party to say what's the best path forward.
And the Prime Minister.
But are you comfortable with that path forward? Like, were you reassured in any way? Or
Conversation's still going. I just gotta catch a flight.
But can you just clarify?
Oh my God.
So you're
Am I the first person to leave this caucus meeting?
Just to clarify, you're saying the Prime Minister is still the Liberal Party leader leaving this caucus, and you're
Of course.
expecting
Did you
that to
expect
remain.
otherwise?
I don't know what to expect.
So MPs were asking
That's not
for what was the mood like? What was the tone like?
I'm not going to disclose anything that happens in the caucus meeting. Look, I'm happy to say my own views on anything, but I'm not going to talk about the emotions or feelings or feedback or experience of colleagues.
Do you feel better leaving this caucus meeting than going in?
I felt pretty good going into the meeting too, but
Do you think the party is united, more united or less united after this meeting?
I'll just speak for myself. Look, I think I said this to the Prime Minister directly in a recorded interview. I think there's obviously a path forward where we take the fight. Last year, the Conservatives spent $9 million on ads. We spent $300,000. Good luck to us fighting that fight. So I think there's absolutely a path forward where the Prime Minister can turn things around. I think if ultimately we throw everything at the wall and he's getting tuned out, that's a different story. I don't think we're there yet, and I think it was a constructive conversation today. But like we gotta stop the palace intrigue, and we gotta focus on what's most important. Consider this as an example, okay? So this old age security debate, the bloc is like, oh, let's increase it by $3 billion. You know that already OAS accounts for $1 of every $7 that the federal government spends. You also know that a seniors couple, $90,000 each that they earn, $180,000 overall. You know how much they get? $17,000 in taxable benefits. And we want to give them more money? We're not even having that debate. I know! We can't even have that debate.
Is the palace intrigue done after today?
I think we're still likely to have a few conversations after today. You wouldn't be surprised to learn, I hope.
Did the Prime Minister say he's staying on, or is he leaving?
I'm not going to disclose what happened at the caucus meeting.
Well, you don't have to.
Well, you can ask him when he comes out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll stop for us the way you are.
I don't know.
If you think the palace intrigue isn't done, so you think this is still going to be a distraction you have to deal with? Some MPs asking
I don't
for
know
him
that
to
it'll be
resign?
the same distraction, but we got to put aside that distraction, and we got to focus on, I think, the real debates. Look, this morning I did a radio interview, and we talked partly about the palace intrigue, but also, at the end of the day, this is not just a referendum on Justin Trudeau. I know that's how the Conservatives want to cast it. That's an interesting thing to write. This is ultimately going to be a choice between Conservatives and Liberals in the election. It's going to be a choice between Pierre Poilievre and probably Justin Trudeau, but the Liberal leader. And that's going to be a very important choice for Canadians to make in terms of the direction of the country. And that's the conversation that we should be having.
But what's changed after this meeting? What's changed?
I'm not going to disclose that.
What's changed after this meeting?
What's your main takeaway from that meeting?
My contribution to the meeting is what I can speak to, and my contribution to the meeting is that I think it's really important when you have so many colleagues that are expressing frustration. I've expressed frustration over the years at different times. It's very important that feedback is listened to. It's very important that ultimately there are some changes to respond to that, and it's very important that the trust is re-earned of those caucus colleagues.
And was it? Sorry.
What do you mean? Was it
the trust
in the course of
confidence?
in the course of an hour and a half? People are expressing their opinions in that meeting, and that's the point of a caucus meeting. And then it's up to the Prime Minister to reflect on everything he's heard and to come back to caucus not only with a plan, but also to express to caucus how have my colleagues been listened to, and what is he going to do to make sure that they feel.
Should this have happened sooner?
Should this particular meeting?
Yeah, should this meeting have happened sooner, where MPs can air their grievances and feel heard and listened to?
I mean, that's, one would hope, the goal of most caucus meetings. For me, after St. Paul's, I had conversations with the Prime Minister and let him know. I made public comments afterwards. I've made public comments ever since. So I think there's always an opportunity for colleagues to be heard. I think it's important in this meeting. I'm glad this meeting happened. Whether it could or should have happened earlier, I don't know.
What do you think some of your colleagues haven't been heard?
Was there any plan that was presented to you guys to reassure you that there is a plan forward?
Well, I'm not going to speak to what happened in caucus.
But if you feel like you are part of the United Caucus,
This talk with the Prime Minister, is there any plan that you have confidence in that you're going to get through the next election? With him there.
Is there any,
Is there any plan to get you through the next election with him at the helm?
I've spoken to Andrew Bevan. I understand that he has a plan he was intending to deliver today, but obviously other events over ran that for good reason. So I have confidence there is a plan. I look forward to discussing it, probably not in front of so many reporters right away, but I look forward to dealing with that plan and speaking to colleagues about
You
that.
said the trust,
confident?
you said like
You're part of a united
trust needs to be restored. Whose trust needs to be restored? Is it the dissenters need to win back the trust of their other caucus colleagues, or is it that the Prime Minister needs to regain the trust of all of his caucus?
So my message today was twofold, actually. It was that I think the Prime Minister has to listen to the frustrations, and in some cases really valid frustrations of caucus colleagues, and incorporate that into changes moving forward, whether those are big changes or small changes or both. And the second thing is my colleagues need to turn the knives outwards and not inwards, and we need to focus on the most important thing, which is getting things done here in Parliament and taking the fight to Pierre Poilievre, because he's a disaster for this country.
And you spoke in caucus.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just told you.
Yeah.
Do you think,
That
do
is the only
you,
thing I will
do you
share.
think your message resonated?
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Usually it does, though, so I think so, yeah.
So when is he going to tell them to sheathe their knives? You said
What's
it's
that?
time for them to turn the
knives
knives
out.
outward.
Yeah.
Right, but what's he going to offer them to put their knives away?
Well, that's not a question for me, my friend.
You
That's not a
said
question for me.
with so many frustrations, do you feel right now that you are part of a united caucus?
Yeah, and I mean, not united in that we're all pulling, singing from the same song sheet on every single issue, but certainly united in the sense that we want what's best for this country, and we want to put our best foot forward in the next election.
But are you rowing in the same direction?
So what more do you have to talk about after today?
You got more people. I gotta catch a flight, but you got more people coming.
Thank you for
They'll have more interesting answers, I'm sure.
Are you guys done with the internal knifing though?